Hi, welcome to yet another episode of Tuesday Talks with Pallavi. Today we will talk about something called Bas Consciousness. Now you must be wondering, ये क्या है? What's Bas Consciousness? This term is actually used in the pedagogy of nonviolent communication and is very much mentioned and explained in the book by the same name written by Dr. Marshall Rosenberg. So let's see what it is. Bas is what we Indians say very often when enough has been said. Bas karo, yeah, I've got it, ab bas karo, let's move on. So it is the art of knowing when enough has been said. This picture of seasons changing and its caption is an apt metaphor of how we feel when we have to endure a monologue simply because we do not know how to stop it without being rude. Physically, we may be present, but mentally, we are completely checked out. Many of us pretend to listen because we have been taught, we have been conditioned that interrupting is rude and that it is very important to be nice or polite, to keep listening even if you're bored. This behavior is often associated with people pleasing and leads us to build a wall of fake smiles instead of seeking a real connection. We nod, we maintain eye contact, we often offer non-committal hums of approval. We consider this behavior to be an act of kindness or etiquette. Now let me tell you that there are several reasons why this approach could be counterproductive. We will see how. Pretending to listen is described as a burden to the speaker rather than kindness. Now you would ask me a question that why is it a burden to the speaker? It is a burden definitely to the listener because he's enduring that monologue, one-way conversation that's going on. But how is it a burden to the speaker? Yes, it may seem paradoxical, but polite silence is very, very deceptive. By letting someone talk endlessly when you are not listening is allowing them to be boring and also denying them the chance to share with somebody who would care for that conversation. Have you ever thought about this angle? Therefore, it's very important that you do not become a wastebasket for words instead of being an active partner in that conversation. So instead of polite listening, use Bas Consciousness, a concept from Indian culture where Bas means I'm satisfied or I've got it. It's not saying shut up, but it's a signal that the transfer of information is complete. I have received what you said and now I'm ready to move forward. Once you have been able to gently interrupt this way, you can start processing what's been said. An authentic interruption, therefore, is very, very important, where the flow of words is stopped in order to, one, not only process what's been said already, but also to check in with the feelings and needs of the speaker. What is going on behind that storytelling? What does the speaker really want or need from that conversation? This shift ensures that the conversation remains a way to enrich life rather than become a lifeless, boring conversation. So, the most considerate thing you can do for a compulsive talker is to interrupt them with empathy. You rescue them from being ignored while they are still speaking. And the longer you wait to interrupt, the harder it becomes to do so kindly or gently. As you endure the monologue, resentment builds behind the wall of fake smiles. So you must deploy the Bas strategy or the Bas consciousness while you still care for that connection and maybe reconnect at a later date. So how do I do it? Maybe verbally or a physical gesture, but do it gently. This requires a lot of courage, but it is necessary to break the trance of the monologue. The energy must be firm and yet polite. Most interruptions, try to escape the conversation. Use Bas consciousness to deepen it, We are not trying to silence the speaker, but we are trying to stop the continuous flow of words in order to find the meaning in those words, to let it sink in. You could say, let's stop here. Let's stop right now. I think I've lost the train of thought. I really want to stay on track with this conversation, but I think I'm losing that. Can you tell me what's going on? This kind of an interruption will not imply blame on the speaker. He would not feel guilty. In fact, the listener will appreciate this kind of an interruption. And at the same time, the listener is also expressing his or her vulnerability. And by that, I mean that is able to express that I'm really lost in this conversation. It definitely shifts focus from the story details to the actual human being. So there's a redirection. And lastly, it is an inquiry into what the speaker's emotional needs could be. And the loop of the monologue breaks. Now let me tell you that the empathy window has a time limit. The longer you wait to interrupt, the harder it becomes to do so politely. As you endure the monologue, resentment builds up. So, while there is still time for you to stay polite in that conversation, please use the strategy of the Bas Consciousness and save that connection, that human connection. Shift the dynamic from endurance to interaction using Bas. Talking becomes a way to enrich life rather than just, filling in the silences. So throw that mask away, out of the window. Use Bas Consciousness. Stop being a waste basket for words. Have the courage to say, Bas, I have enough information. If there's too much verbiage, too many words, it really blocks the conversation. It blocks the flow of information. It blocks the connection, most importantly. So, while there is time for you to interrupt gently and not lose your cool, please use the strategy or the consciousness of Bas. Interrupt gently and save that human connection. The connection must survive and meaning must be found. Use the Bas Consciousness from a place of empathy towards yourself and towards the speaker. Hope you use the Bas Consciousness in the right perspective, in the right spirit, and let me know in a few days or maybe next week whether you tried it out with your friends or with your colleagues and how were you able to change the energy of the conversation. I hope you liked this episode of Tuesday Talks with Pallavi. Thank you for listening in and see you in the next one.